In this episode of OG55. Wait a minute. This ain't OG55. This is Webavision. Ebba, take over, brother. It's all you, dude.
In this episode or webisode of OG55, we are premiering the very first video of Webavision, everybody. This is one of the two brand new series coming to you guys from OG55. Today, we are going to talk about Legoland layoffs from California and Florida. What does that mean for the parks? Is it a good thing, a bad thing? How does that affect the rest of the theme park industry? Let's get into it. Welcome to Webavision, everybody, here on OG55. Today, I got a fantastic panel. My OG boys right here. We got George Italiano. We got the OG himself right here. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. OG, how are you doing, brother?
Absolutely fantastic. Mr. Webb, I want to congratulate you on your new show, Webavision. Looking forward to many more of these in the future. You are absolutely that guy.
Oh my God, I'm really that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, bitch, I'm outside.
There we go. Webba, thank you so much for having me on. You can find me on a little YouTube channel called Orange Grove 55. You can also find me on Instagram, Orange Grove 55. We love our Instagram. We were just watching some Instagram before we came on the show. Really great stuff over there. And X, Orange Grove 55. And again, thank you, Mr. Webba.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, OG. George, our Disney Italiano, man. How you doing today, sir?
Doing good. So glad to be on here with the very first episode of Webavision. I'm for sure it's going to be so much better than that sucky ass show WandaVision. So can't wait to get into this conversation with you. And congratulations, Mr. Webba, on your show here on Orange Grove 55.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. Now, where can everybody find the Italiano at on social media?
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You can also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me, well, right here, but it's Webavision, but on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
You can also find him in California.
Woke up looking for the broccoli. Hockey. Hi. Mustard on the beat, hope.
There we go. All right. Webba, take it over.
Absolutely. So, everybody, today we're going to talk about Legoland. And here's the thing. Legoland doesn't really get in the news or in the talks about amongst the theme park community. However, when it does, it's pretty big news. So as you can see here, Legoland to lay off most of its performers in their entertainment division. Now, this is very fascinating because already I have come across 4 different articles, okay? Now, this is big because in California, at least, when there is a mass layoff of a certain criteria number of people, they have to report it. Now, this is the crazy thing. Almost 100 employees from the entertainment division from California are being laid off. I believe there was about 234 employees from Florida that were laid off. And so I'd like to go through this article. We're going to kind of take it just kind of step by step as we go down. So I'd like to just kind of go down with the first thing right here. Legoland has announced it is laying off nearly 100 employees at its Carlsbad park, part of a broader company-wide restructuring of how it delivers shows and other entertainment offerings. OG, brother, I'm going to start with you first. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. We are seeing this sort of becoming a trend, right, with theme parks, because we follow Disney very, very closely here on OG55, and Disney has been kind of doing this, at least in Anaheim, right? We've seen a lot of that going on over there. We haven't had a show in the Hyperion since Rogers the Musical, right? Well, I mean, to be fair, there might be other things going on with that because that theater might not even exist. We don't even know. It could be something else. But as far right now, at face value, there hasn't been a show in there for a while. The Doctor Strange show, got canceled. I mean, we've seen a lot of this stuff. So it's kind of interesting that Legoland is kind of going down the same road. Is there, because I know Legoland, Webba, and kind of fill us in with this. It's not a Lego owned park. It's owned by Merlin Entertainment and they license it out, right?
Correct. So
okay.
Yeah, so just for everybody who at home doesn't know, and George, I'm not sure if I told you this, but when you look at Disney and Universal, right, all their employees are in-house, correct? And so for Legoland, think of it kind of like with Disney Tokyo, where it's the IP, but it's being licensed out, right? So Merlin Entertainments, which is a UK company, owns the Legolands. Now, here's the other kicker that a lot of people don't know about. In the Legoland parks, at least for California that I know of, probably Florida as well, that at least probably half of the park staff is not Legoland Merlin. There's a lot of third-party companies that actually operate in Legoland. So a lot of MCs or model citizens you'll see, like food and beverage, people that do artistry or face paintings, games, even the custodial staff. They are not Legoland Merlin. They are a third-party company.
So
And
that brings me to my question. Actually, I'm glad you set the table perfectly for me. The entertainment,
yes,
are these Merlin employees, or
they are in-house. And this is the thing. Merlin Legoland, they have contracts with these other third-party companies. And it makes me wonder, according to this article that we'll get to, are they looking for a better way to structure their entertainment and have better entertainment? Because here's the thing. Last year was a celebration of Legoland California's 25th anniversary. And because of that, they had a new Lego World Parade that debuted. Wasn't the best parade ever. I'll tell you that right now. There was a lot of issues I saw behind the scenes with it. It even broke down like during the parade a couple of times. So I'm thinking that there's a lot of money that they saw being spent on these higher performed entertainment activities, and it wasn't a big return on their investment, so to speak. So what it sounds like, and we'll get to the end of the article, is that they want a third party to come in that is of a higher caliber and have those entertainments instead. So, George, what do you think about this, brother?
What I find very interesting, and I'm glad that we're having this discussion about Legoland, because especially in the Disney community, that people are saying, Disney is failing. Oh, they're doing, cost cuts and, cutting jobs and what have you. And it does, it sucks, especially if you're one that loses their job. But I it drives me nuts when people just label it that it's just Disney. And, around the whole entertainment industry and many of theme parks that we're discussing right now, even with Legoland, this stuff happens, and it is, it's quite interesting that even though Legoland could be very popular, obviously Disney's more bigger, it's more broader, but even to something to Legoland, they still have to go through their share of ups and downs and issues and unfortunate job cuts.
Well, and it might, yeah, exactly, George. And it's also could be, like you were saying, Webba, they're looking for higher quality because, through that third party. So that might be something so a lot of fans will look at, now, obviously it's always a negative when someone loses their job. Like, I'm not saying it's ever a good thing. You know what I'm saying? I want to make that very, very clear. My heart goes out to anybody involved in this that's losing their job. But it's not always these companies being like the mustache twirling villain. Sometimes they are trying to, like we're saying here, we're restructure to provide even a better quality show. So that might be what's going on here with Legoland. Go ahead, Webba.
Right. No, exactly. And we're going to get to this because this is very interesting. So in the article, it states Legoland California characterized the staff reduction as a way to evaluate guest experience and better compete in the theme park market. Now, what I've been saying for a while now is that, yes, Legoland, it does have its target demographic, right? However, they're in Southern California. They're in Florida. They're in these heavy competitive markets in the theme park space where Universal and Disney, they are upping the game in terms of a themed environment immersive park. Yes, while Legoland and OG, you say this all the time, while, like, for example, like the Universal Kids Park coming, right? Even though something may be for kids, the quality should absolutely still be there. And a lot of stuff at Legoland is still currently kind of like in the late 90s, early 2000s kind of build. Yes, there is newer stuff that they have gotten, but going forward, I do believe they're looking at, okay, we have to be even more competitive now and bring newer, better, more in-depth to these parks because we're going to get crushed by even SeaWorld, Disney, Universal. So I like that because it tells me Legoland, they're really paying attention to the market. And with the evaluate the guest experience, when you go to Legoland, I'm assuming they have it in Florida as well. There's these little like iPad things across the park, and they get scored. They get a monthly average score based off of the guest input on there. Like, oh, how was the service? How was your guest experience? What they have there, they preach guest obsessive. And Disney, we talked about Disney on our last show, that Disney does a very good job of the guest service, the customer service, right? DCL, Disney Cruise Line. And Legoland, they want to up that up. So, OG, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. I mean, you have to remain competitive. It does have its own demo. It does skew younger for kids, right? But here's the thing: we're seeing major moves being made by Universal right now. Major moves in Hollywood. You're seeing we talked to Wizard about it, right? Many times, Theme Park Wizard, shout out to him, about this new hotel they're building over there. They're doing all kinds of stuff. They're the Fast and Furious thing, and all kinds of rumors going on about replacing Springfield. And there's a lot of expansion stuff on the table for that. A lot of work going on with City Walk. Then you have Disneyland Resort, which now they have all that land freed up thanks to Disneyland Forward, right? We're getting a Pandora over there in DCA. We're getting 2 Avengers rides. We're getting a Coco boat ride. We're getting all kinds of stuff out here. So these 2 giants in the theme park industry are kind of battling it out. So Legoland's a small park. They have to stand out in their own way. They got to do what they got to do to stay relevant. And so people go down there to Carlsbad and take their kids. I mean, Universal, I want to bring them up again too, because they're also trying really hard right now. One of the demos that Universal has really struggled with over a long time, decades, I think, is the younger demographic. And they've really struggled with it, and they're starting to try to kind of grab a little bit more of that demo, because right now they got like the teen to like mid-20s demo like down. Like that's totally the Universal demo. But younger kids and like, and stuff like that were never like, I don't know, Universal kind of trails behind Disney quite a bit, and probably even behind like a Legoland, to be honest with you. But lately they've been stepping it up with like things like Nintendo and even like the Minions and stuff like that. How to Train Your Dragon, which who knows, we might get something like that out here with, they're getting it at Epic Universe. Maybe we'll get something out here in Hollywood regarding How to Train Your Dragon. But they're doing a lot more for kids. And with Universal doing that, Legoland has to compete. And it's good to see that they are trying to, I mean, at least they're saying they're going to try to elevate that guest experience, because I think it's necessary. The competition right now has never been more fierce.
Exactly. George Italiano, what do you think, sir?
I take Legoland as the little park that could, so to speak. Like, it has major potential. And OG had mentioned it perfectly. You have Disney and Universal, these 2 Goliath industry, theme park enterprises, and then you have Legoland, Little David, so that's like trying to show small but mighty, and the Lego brand itself is very strong, with the product and everything. Even in feature film, there was a lot of Lego films that were very successful, and not even just with it being a small park, but as also mentioned, it's more geared towards the younger kid demographic. So, they have a lot that they have to work up to, that they have a lot of obstacles they have to tackle. So, of course, it would only make sense for them to do what is deemed necessary to at least still be in the race, so to speak.
Now, Eva, I want to ask you a question, right? So right now the demo for this park it's a kid. It's for kids, really, right?
Yeah,
or at least on paper, that's what they.
Right. Yeah. So it's ages 2 to 12 and their families. So pretty much the way that it's structured is the kid is king. The kid is the one, that's their world, right? So
Yeah.
it's targeted towards them and their families.
And
right?
their families. Okay, so do you think it would be smart? And I'm not as familiar with Legoland, and you're very familiar with it. So I mean, look, it might be a terrible idea because I'm not a huge Lego fan. So you know, I don't know how this would go over. But do you think they should expand that demo? Should they do maybe like a land for older people? And kind of get like people like in their like 20s, maybe even early 30s in that park? Or do you think it's smart to kind of keep it more for kids and their families, right? Where it's like that's the niche they're kind of going for, kind of lean into your strength.
In my opinion, right? So take my personal bias out of this. I think it's better to not be in the niche because I believe when you have something that's niche, it's always going to be limited.
Right.
And you have to, if you want more revenue, more profit, more guests, you're going to have to appeal to a broader audience. And I think that's one of the reasons why we are going to get that coaster, the new coaster that we watched at that city council here in
The
Carlsbad,
space one.
the space one, yes, because we don't have anything like that at the park. We do have the Dragon Technic coaster, but they're very, very mild coasters. You know, nothing crazy. Then we have Coaster Saurus, which is a baby coaster. You actually go through twice because it's so short.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, so we don't have anything that is akin to a indoor dark, space type of coaster. So I think they do realize that yes, while that's their target demo, they need that broader audience to come in because here's the thing, right? And I was talking to George about Disney. The adults are the ones spending the money on these parks.
Yeah.
Whether it's for Lego, for food, or whatever. I mean, you're bringing your family here, and here's the thing: these hotels are not cheap. Like you think, oh, it's Legoland, it's going to be cheap. No, it is not. You look at a Legoland hotel in the summer, you're looking at like $300, $400 a night.
Well, I mean, and that's not too far off. If you wanted to stay at like the Pixar Place Hotel or something like
Yeah.
that, I mean, that's like the pricing over there pretty much. I mean, that's up there, for
Yeah.
sure.
Well,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna speak just like on my behalf. Like you guys know me, I'm a rider. I love coasters, I love thrill rides, and for me personally, obviously, Legoland isn't really my thing. I am curious to experience it. I can't wait to experience it. With Ebba showing us, being our VIP tour guide and what have you. But like for me to just say, oh, I want to make a special trip just to go to Legoland, even after the first time that you show us, how much of appeal would it make for me to want to go back, like to say, oh, I want to experience this. So that I do agree with you, Ebba. I feel like if Legoland does expand, like instead of like getting out of that niche, I would hope that they would, because of what you described to me of what the space coaster is going to become. And if they lean more towards that side of the demographic, it'd be like, hey, you know what? They're starting to get some new stuff down there. I wouldn't mind going down, a couple more times and checking it out.
Well,
Right.
and Lego's popular for all ages. I mean, there's people my age, your age that like Lego.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
I was just at Target the other day, and they have adult Lego sets like for like corporate offices. Like you ever seen those? With like the Empire State Building, it's all in gray, right? You know what I'm saying? And it's just for like a fancy office or whatever. And even like some of the other stuff, like you can buy like the Mandalorian and like some of the Marvel stuff, which you can tell is more advanced building, and like it's obviously for older customers or whatever. So there is that audience that's older that does like Lego. So if they build that stuff, they probably would come. And actually, in regard to that Space Mountain Lego thing, I think that's a brilliant idea. I mean, Lego Space Mountain is basically what we're getting. I mean, that's pretty dope, dude. That's a
Right.
great concept.
No, exactly. And the other thing too is what I would like to see Legoland do, or Merlin to Legoland, is really really lean into the Lego aspect, right? Like create attractions, and which they have been doing, right? We have something called Movie World or Lego Movie World, which it has Benny and these other Lego characters, and they create an attraction off like an original story, right? So kind of like at Disney, right? I know they've been kind of doing some book report stuff, but there's also you take a character and then you kind of make its own story of an attraction. I think that's what Legoland Merlin should really do is lean into the Lego brand, get these characters,
Yeah.
create a whole new in-depth, immersive interaction, right? More complicated attractions that appeal to the broader audience and that more people can ride and enjoy. Well, continue on. OG, I'm actually going to skip to where like the layoffs begin because this is going to be important for the unfortunate people who will be laid off or already gotten laid off probably. It says here, the layoffs are to begin March 25th and continue through April 7th. So,
Wow.
you know, and then right here we have, it says, going forward, the park's remaining in-house entertainers will continue to interact with both hotel and park guests as costume characters for parks meet and greet offerings. So, what is like? Okay, I want to ask after this. I want to ask you guys this. Right? Is how would you feel, or really the theme park Disney community feel if Disney did this or Universal did this, where they just like off their whole in-house entertainment? Like, hey, we're gonna go with a third party now because one, we want to save money, and two, we think we can get a better deal or performance out of a third party coming in.
That's going a little bit risky. Now you're kind of like going on like a fine line between, I get it to like cost cut and save money, but sometimes when you go through a third party, you're going through third party rules. So it's not like where you can actually have the full control over it.
Yeah.
And then I'll pass it to OG, but then I have a question for you about after he's done.
Here's the thing, like Disney isn't completely like they've done third party before. Like DCA, the Glow Fest was third party. Like that party in 2010, it was third party.
Yeah.
It was run by an outside company, and they had like the Bollywood dancers, which was my personal favorite. I love that one. they had the Bollywood dancers, and then they had and then that was like kind of at like dusk, right, or whatever. And then when it got late at night, then you had all the colorful dancers and stuff like that. That was third party. But then once they got into like electronica and like the tea party and all that, it was Disney, right? So they've dabbled in it, but to get rid of their entire in-house entertainment, right, and just go all third party, that's blasphemous. You know, Disney entertainment at these parks is just it's a treasure, and you can't do that. I don't mind them tapping into the third party stuff here and there, like what they did with Glowfest. I thought was perfectly fine. They probably do that, to be honest with you, with some of the Lunar New Year stuff if they have performances or whatever. Some of those performances or whatever are probably third party. I'm not privy to it, but I'm just guessing, right? I don't mind stuff like that, but to get rid of all of the in-house stuff and just go all third party, I wouldn't want that. I think it's smart for Disney to be a little more strategic with it. Legoland has the flexibility to kind of do that because there isn't the history connected to it.
Right.
And Universal could even get away with it too, but Disney, it's just a different animal. I don't think they could do it, and they shouldn't do it.
No, I agree. However, here's my issue with the Legoland and how many, because seriously, this is not a surprise. You go on their website if you're like looking for a job, right? They list their third party companies that they work with, and they specify. Please be in mind, if you select one of our partners, you are not a Legoland Merlin employee. So there's like 4 or 5 like right there on the site. So everything from the article, because there's multiple articles, but from this one, it sounds like they're going to keep their like very few in-house entertainment people for like the day-to-day, like little entertainment things that they have. But for the more bigger production, I know I'm kind of torn on it because on one hand, I see why they're doing it. If they can get a third party to come in that has way more expertise, way higher production, and on a money level, they can save money by, let's say, making a contract for like, let's say, $2 million versus like $5 million for in-house and have better production and entertainment. I can see why they would do that.
Yeah.
However, when you look at Legoland and how many just third-party people there are, it's kind of insane to me because what happens then is there could be a lot of miscommunication or a lot of training standards that aren't up to par. So then with that guest value or the guest obsessed stuff, that may not happen because one company may not care about the Merlin values that they're trying to uphold, you know? So it makes it very kind of conflicting communication and working with the other departments. And that can be a big issue, at least the way I see it. What do you think about that aspect of it, OG?
Yeah, no, it can lead to issues because a few years ago, or actually a while now ago, Children's Place bought Disney Store. I don't know if everyone at home remembers this, but they
Wait,
bought.
really?
Yeah, they bought the Disney Store and they paid Disney a licensing fee or whatever to do it. Like kind of like what OLC does for Tokyo Disney, right? They owned it, and it didn't turn out very good because Children's Place didn't understand the Disney brand and the quality and all that. So their third party sometimes does. Sometimes you luck out with Oriental Land Company and you get a great company that knows what they're doing, right? Sometimes you get Children's Place, so it's a risky move. What say you, Italiano? Oh, he's frozen.
He's frozen. Yeah.
We're gonna have to start calling this guy Elsa. He's so frozen.
He's so frozen.
There he is. There, he's back. He's back. He's back.
Spider web.
Sorry, guys. Okay, sorry. What was?
Go ahead, Webb. Go ahead and.
So it was about what do you think, George, about having so with these third party companies, right? Sometimes they can be a blessing, like what OG said from OLC. Other times when you have too many third party companies who are in your operation, it can be conflicting with this company doesn't really care about what your operation or values are.
That's why it's a fine line. That's what I was mentioning earlier. It's very risky that when you use a third party practically almost for everything, they may not share the same values or the same things that you want to that you withhold within your own company, and you can try to convince them. You can try to say, hey, but this isn't, this is how we do this is how we do that. At the end of the day, it's their own company, just like it's yours. So whether or not that they want to withhold that's where it's like a slippery slope. And especially if you want to use everything in your park as a third party, that's very risky. If you're using multiple third parties, that's even riskier.
Yes.
But I wanted to ask you, Ebba, this was my question. When it comes to the entertainment, I'm not too familiar with Legoland. Obviously with Disney, even though they cut a lot, Disney is known for parades and stage shows and theater shows and meet and greets and everything. When it comes to entertainment, how broad and big is it in Legoland? Like, is there a lot of meet and greet costume characters? Are there a lot of outdoor shows, indoor shows? Like how much so when you speak of entertainment, how much is actually on the line if they were to do this through a third party?
So that's what I was mentioning earlier. Is that on the day-to-day basis, like character meet and greets and kind of like little shows, like kind of little stage shows they do, I believe those will be for example, right? There's in Castle Hill, right? At Castle Hill, that's where the Dragon Coaster is. There's like a little stage show. They do one for like regular off season where it's just like kind of regular Knights Castle type of vibe characters out there. And then they have one for Halloween, and then they have one for Christmas. Those I believe are going to be staying as in-house entertainment, and then like meet and greets. But for bigger stuff like parades or any type of special effects show, I could see that being the third party. Because those have the bigger budgets, they cost more from what I know, and I can't say from who, but the parade, which we're gonna get to next part of the article, OG, is the parade costed Legoland a lot of money, and it cost them a lot of money not only for the floats, but also a lot of money in terms of the in-house entertainment that they had. And they were just blowing money out the water, unfortunately. So I think they saw their mistake, and they're like, now that I think they're trying to correct it and get better, better organization, better technology, better performances. So right here, right? So last year, guys, was Legoland's 25th anniversary. They had the Lego Parade for summer. Now, in the article down here, it says the Lego World Parade this summer would be staffed by the new provider. Similarly, special programming like Brick or Treat, which is their Halloween, during Halloween and shows during Christmas holiday period will be produced with the help of Legoland's new contractor. So it sounds like with your seasonal events, even they're going to have the new contractor or provider help and come in and help with the production of these new shows.
So we're gonna see pretty soon, summertime. We're gonna see how this works out.
Yeah, exactly. Because the parade only went through summer. It hasn't gone like with Disney, they have parades all throughout the year. No, this was just a one kind of done generic parade for the summer to celebrate the 25th anniversary, and then they never brought it out again until this coming summer. So, what do you guys think about that? Where pretty much these special type of shows are going to be now the third party. I know we already discussed it, but do you think that's a better idea in terms of having the day-to-day basis be like you're in smaller in-house and then the larger production stuff being the third party if it was a cheaper alternative but with a higher return?
Yeah, absolutely. If the quality improves, because Disney has the in-house apparatus to do the big stuff. They can do Fantasmic, they can do World of Color and giant fireworks shows. If Merlin doesn't have that capability, then yes, outsourcing that to a third party makes a whole lot of sense. You get better quality, you get more ROI, the return on investment, So we'll see. Third party doesn't always equal bad, and I just want to hammer that home because we see it with OLC. I liked GlowFest. I liked GlowFest a lot, actually. I thought it was a lot of fun. So that was third party. So now it's interesting with these holiday events and everything. I mean, honestly, that's kind of like that's exactly where I would start with this stuff if I was in charge, because you want to kind of like not the day-to-day stuff, but like kind of test the waters, kind of dip your toe into like some of the seasonal stuff and see how they do for these temporary short-term events and go from there. And if they knock it out of the park, no pun intended, then you can expand that, But I think it's a good place to start, actually. I really do. So that's just kind of my take on it.
George Italiano, brother, what do you think?
I agree with that. I think honestly, if they're gonna test it on something that's seasonal, test it on something that may be temporary, where that's not a huge loss of investment if it doesn't work out, and then they can kind of tweak and work out the kinks as they move forward and maybe do something of a bigger in-house for a bigger production rather than seasonal if it works out well. But yeah, like anytime that you do work with a third party, you always want to work through it rather than just put all your eggs in one basket at once.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And kind of going back to the seasonal stuff. So this was really cool, actually. Last Halloween for Brick or Treat, Legoland Florida actually debuted for the first time a drone show, which I thought was awesome because for Legoland, a drone show, I mean, with all these theme parks getting into the drone show game, I thought that was pretty cool. Now, of course, typical California theme parks, we have limited space a lot of times. We're in a location where it's not really convenient. So where Legoland is, we literally have a small airport just across the way. So we always have planes flying over. So we couldn't. I don't think we could do a drone show here. We have fireworks, but it's only on 4th of July, New Year's, and Christmas. The Christmas fireworks were only literally 5 minutes long. That was it. So I'm hoping that with the new production and the third party coming in, they can really spice up these, nighttime entertainments, these seasonal events with the lasers and, put a bunch of pyro and cool stuff, right? In terms of the parade, the route isn't very good because it's only on one side of the park. I mean, I guess Main Street is as well, but it's not a long route at all. It's very short. I would like to see if we can get some better, more quality floats in there because it looks very Lego Kitty. I would like to see something that's a bit more theme park quality standard of floats.
How long is that? Okay, let's say compared to Disney.
Yeah.
Starting at Main Street, where the flagpole is, right? When you first walk in.
Yeah.
Starting there. Legoland, how long is it? Where does it go? Does it go to the castle and that's it? Or does it go further down? Where would it stop?
I would say it's about a quarter of the distance.
From the castle?
Well, so Legoland, it doesn't even start at a hub area. It starts at what's called Fun Town, and right now that whole side is blocked off for construction.
Wow.
Starts off at Fun Town, and it goes to the right side down into Lego Movie World, and then it exits. So you have to be on that side of the park to see the parade.
So basically, it'd be like starting at the flagpole and ending in Tomorrowland.
Pretty much, yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Wow, that is short. Okay, I'm just
Yeah,
trying to get my
and
bearings because I've never been there. So
yeah, and I believe there's only like 6 floats as well. So yeah, it's very short parade. The floats always had a ton of issues, and this is why I think probably too they want to go with a third party is to make sure they have better, better technology, better vehicles for their for their parades or their shows or whatnot, because you don't want stuff failing in the middle of your show.
Now that would make sense. And as OG had mentioned, if something isn't working,
Yeah,
under the lines of Merlin, then that would make sense to try a different approach, take a different attempt of a third party, because then that may work. If they weren't actually having a whole lot of issues and everything was going fine, then you'd be more risking to say, okay, are we rocking the boat? Are we, if it's not broken, don't fix it. But technically, if it is kind of broken, then you want to try to fix it, so.
yeah, no, exactly. And one last thing before we go, in the articles it does state that when these employees were let go or are going to be let go, they will be given opportunity to be worked with and be put in the new third party division for the entertainment.
okay, that's cool. That's good to
Yeah,
see. So it'll mitigate the job losses. That's awesome news.
yes, exactly. So, but again, it all depends if the person wants to take up that spot. You know what I mean? But I'm glad they are going to work with them and try to get that, get that sorted, so that way they're not out of a job completely. But as all layoff news, it's always unfortunate. You never want to hear that. so I do feel for everybody that this happened to. But yeah, gentlemen, any final thoughts about our topic today?
No, I'm excited to go with you, gents, in June. It's gonna be fun. I've never been, so I'm very curious to kind of get a feel for the park and kind of see what it's about. I love Legos. I love the brand, So yeah, it'll be very cool. But in terms of like the layoffs, yeah, my heart goes out to everybody that is losing their job. That sucks. That absolutely sucks. But at the end of the day, we also have to be open-minded with these decisions from a creative standpoint. It might not necessarily be a bad thing in terms of the creative standpoint. Like third party doesn't always equal bad. So let's give this third party a chance. It might be even better. Like they said in that press release, it could be for higher quality. If they don't have the resources, Merlin, to really put on these big budgeted things, and these third parties do, let's see. Let's give them a shot. So
Absolutely, George Italiano. What do you think, good sir?
Yeah, definitely. I'm as OG was saying, I'm very excited. I'm very curious. I'm always up for a new adventure. Kind of seeing some different things, and of course, with the sister channel, that means I get to record and do some vlogging down there as well. So
Absolutely.
Some adventures in Legoland, not Wonderland, Legoland, folks.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, brothers, it was so awesome to have you on for the very first premiere webisode of Webshot here on OG 55. All right, OG, sir, thank you so much for joining me. Where can everybody find you, sir?
You can find me. Well, thank you, Webba. Thank you. I appreciate you. This was a fun time. Look for more webisodes in the near future. You can find me here on Orange Grove 55. You can find me on Instagram, Orange Grove 55, and you can find me on X, Orange Grove 55. Oh, and Blue Sky. I'm on Blue Sky, but I never go on there. I probably should. I actually have a pretty decent following over there, even though I never post anything, which is weird. But yeah. So yeah, I'm on Blue Sky as well. But again, Webba, thank you so much for having us on. Appreciate you.
Now, real quick, what is Blue Sky? Because I know Seymour's on it, George's on it. I don't even know what Blue Sky is.
It's basically like old school Twitter. It's like Twitter, like circa like 2015 is what it feels like. It's actually a great platform. I really do need to get on it more. It's actually really the layout. It's old Twitter, like when Twitter was like really good. Ever since they were like, when Elon came in and started paying people for like monetizing the tweets and stuff, the amount of like grifting and like just trash out there got way worse. And then he did all the weird stuff with the block button. It just I think Elon has really just done a lot of disservice to that app. I really do. But Blue Sky is Twitter from like years ago. So it's actually a really good platform. It's just I always forget about it. I never go on it. I really should. So check it out, everybody. It's not a bad place to be.
I might have to check it out. George, the Italiano, sir, where can everybody find your sexy ass?
Well, you can find my sexy ass on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me on my home base on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
Oh, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. And also, I have to just say, shout out to OG for all of his help behind the scenes with me and my new shows here. And also,
Absolutely.
George, congratulations on your sister channel. Hell yeah, I can't wait to see that content. But yeah, everybody, thank you for watching, and you'll have a great night.
Snapping shots, swinging high, Mr. Weber, the city's alley, Orange Grove, where danger hides with web swinging action. He'll turn the tides, dodging bullets, leaping tall. Weber's here to save us all from the villains, he won't fall. Spinning webs.
Thank you for watching OG55. If you aren't already, consider becoming a member today.